Meet Codename Goose, your on-machine open-source AI agent, built to automate your tasks. Codename Goose is an intelligent and autonomous agent capable of handling complex tasks thanks to its core features. Connect with apps and tools you already use with extensions. Built on the Model Context Protocol, you can connect to extensions like GitHub, integrate JetBrains IDEs, access Google Drive, or build your own custom integrations for Goose. For a curated list of extensions, visit our docs. With a wide range of compatible large language model providers, you can choose and integrate your preferred model. You can also run Goose as a desktop app or through the command line interface using the same configurations across both. You can think of Goose as an assistant, ready to take your instructions and do the work for you. Able to handle a wide range of tasks across various engineering domains. Here are examples of tasks Goose has helped people with already. Goose has helped dive into a new project in an unfamiliar coding language, conduct code migrations such as Ember to React or Ruby to Kotlin, increase code coverage, and even generate unit tests for a feature, and much more. To get started using Goose right away, check out our quick start and be the first to know about upcoming features by joining our community.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Tell me how y'all are feeling in the chat. I already see Tanya and Best Codes and Aaron and Max. Thanks for tuning in already and commenting. If this is your first time tuning in and if you didn't catch it, Goose is an AI agent, and what makes it so unique is that it's open source, it's local to your machine, and it extends its capabilities to MCP servers. For today's Goose Off, we're hanging out with, and let me just bring them on the stage. We're hanging out with Andrew and Tyler. One thing that's really cool about them is they've pushed Goose beyond its limits through very unconventional interfaces, but now they're going to be facing off in the Great Goose Off. So let's see who can guide Goose to the ultimate build. All right, y'all, tell me, how are you feeling? You're like pumped up, you're like nervous, you're like ready to beat the opponent.
Feeling good.
Yeah, I'm ready to have a little bit of fun with Goose.
Nice. And we pointed out backstage that you have a Goose background, just like Max usually does. Yep, he said he's feeling proud. Yeah, it's becoming, you're making a trend, Max. I got to get my Goose background next. All right, so let's quickly, before we just dive into the actual game. And remember, this is like fun, lighthearted. There's really no loser except for Goose, right? But before we dive into that, I'm curious what your typical setup usually looks like. Which models are you normally using? And I know backstage you all were talking about you started getting into Open Router and realized we're spoiled at Block with like getting our LLMs paid for, or LLM usage.
Oh yeah, major spoilage. Like the amount of tokens we chew through and not having to think about the cost is an awesome like privilege to have. But yeah, I just plugged in Open Router like last night and like been feeding it little $10 increments and realizing how fast that goes. But yeah, about me, I like using the Anthropic models like Claude for, and also Opus for code. Sometimes I'll pop over to a Gemini model for general knowledge. I use a mixture of both Cursor and VS Code for development. If I'm using Goose as like my agentic loop, I'm pairing that with code usually. But if I'm doing a project that's like not open source related in an internal project, for something. Sometimes I'll just stick to just cursor due to the ergonomics. That it's a little bit easier sometimes for certain things. But yeah, I kind of do a variety of stuff.
What about
Yeah,
you, Tyler? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I've been playing with Open Router a bit too. Yeah, and I was, starting to feel a little bit self-conscious about how many tokens I've been chewing through with Goose, but the last engineering all hands we were told to use more AI and run it up. So I'm not feeling quite as bad about it now.
Yeah, if anything, you're following directions, right?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna dive into this. Okay, Max, I don't want to break your heart. We're kind of doing what you wanted, but kind of not. Okay. We were gonna try out some open source LLMs today, but we were like, maybe not. Maybe we could push this to the end. Like if we just want to like do like a quick demo at the end, if we end up having time. How do you guys feel about that? Maybe. Yeah, I
Sure,
don't know,
we,
but
we can give it a shot. They're rate limiting the one I want to use upstream because everyone is so excited about it. But we can certainly give it a shot at the end if you want.
yeah, that's why we're not choosing it. I don't know if we'll have enough time, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's jump into the game. This first one, you guys are very technical. I seen what y'all can do, so I didn't go too light on you, but I didn't go too hard either. Okay, so we're gonna recreate a developer-themed version of Wordle where the user has to guess tech terms. That sounds easy, right? But of course, there's a twist. Instead of typing the letters, you'll have Flappy Bird or Flappy Goose basically float through the letters that you want to choose. If you choose the wrong letter, the bird crashes. If they choose the right letter, they keep flying. It's basically Wordle meets Flappy Bird. Do you guys have questions before we dive into it? And I'm gonna do. Got my phone. I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the clock for it. Don't start yet. Any questions?
Do you have like an illustration, or are we just kind of winging this?
Wing it. Let Goose illustrate. You don't have to give it any design. It'll do its thing.
I have a question. So we're looking to build a Wordle, but we want to like inject a floppy goose like element, like animations. Is that right? So like we need to make sure the gameplay matches Wordle by like scanning it and doing something a little bit differently than.
Yeah. If you want, you could start off by building Wordle itself and then tell it like, let's switch this to like be like Flappy Bird or something like that. So basically, like, let's say you wanted to choose your first letter as A, Flappy Bird will have like there'll be like A somewhere, I don't know, in the sky, whatever you interpret this as, and then the Flappy Bird will choose that letter. Okay. It's hard. You guys are scared.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll go to Andrew first because I feel like Tyler's clutching his pearls. But I've seen what you could do, Tyler.
I'm more concerned about how long the game will take to get to each letter as a bird's flying if we're trying to fill in the Wordle with letters as we pass by with the goose.
It's okay if the experience isn't great as a user. We're just building it. Okay. Right? Like if it goes fast or slow, you can always tell Goose, speed it up, slow it down, right? Okay. I put 10 minutes on the clock and I'm going to Andrew. And don't worry, Tyler, you got this. And don't worry, Andrew, you got this too.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. All right.
So I'm starting off with a plan file. I don't typically do this in Goose. I'm just doing this to help the live stream go a little bit more smoothly on my end. I'm going to basically tell Goose to look at this to start vibe coding from. So the objective here is make Wordle. But make it fun. I'm gonna try to one-shot this and see how we get.
Ooh, spicy.
Make it fun and feel more like Flappy Bird, which I guess are we calling it Floppy Goose or Flappy Goose?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah. I thought I could stay on theme.
Okay. So make a Wordle in the browser. I want to use web technology, right? So I'm telling it vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If we need to use a package manager, I want to tell it to use PNPM. Now, like Goose also has Goose hints. I don't have any of that set up for this. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I won't.
Yeah.
I'm not like a big person that like sets up their environment and like for all my products is like my own custom thing that I've been like fiddling with for years. It's like I kind of like approach products like from fresh
From
scratch all
zero.
the time.
Yeah.
Make it styled like the popular game Flappy Bird. All right, let's start doing this now. Okay, so I've got this written out here. I'm going to open Goose. I've got this. I got Goose pointed to the Goose Off folder, and you'll see the plan markdown file. So we're going to tell Goose what to do. Look at, and I want to use this feature here at the @ sign, where we can go and select files locally and get started. We'll see what happens.
Nice. Why do you tend to use the plan mode over other things, or is that just for
It's kind of for the stream, I think, just to make the formatting look a little bit cleaner, because you can type a lot in that text box, and it does grow, and you can hit enter, and it drops into here. But then, like, the formatting is a little bit consolidated. So, like, if we needed to pop back in here and kind of like tweak this, it makes it easier to read.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so it sees the plan, and it looks like it's cooking right now.
Let's go. Maybe I'll go stop by. I think that was a really good strategy that you did. Oh, it might have already built it. Oh no,
So
it's starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check back in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see what Tyler's up to. Hey. Oh, you're muted.
Let me unmute. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying not to interrupt you. So I had Goose brainstorm with me first.
Ooh,
I wanted to see what it came up with. It came up with a few fun mechanics, color coding the letters, and what we're actually going to do aesthetically for the theming.
Ooh.
Some power-ups and bonuses that I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah.
I looked through it, refined a few things. Like I wanted to make this a little more plausible that you could win. So I'm asking it to limit the Wordle bit to 3-letter words, make it more likely that the correct letters show up so that you don't have to play for like 20 minutes to actually end up making your word. And don't repeat letters so that we're not getting, 10 A's in a row for some reason.
Yeah, you're a pro.
So it took my suggestions, incorporated it into the design, and unlike, I did prepare a Goose Hints for this, actually, which we can look at.
Yeah.
We can look at it. I prepared a Goose Hints and a little agent MD file based on. I talked to Goose a little bit about Goose Off. Like I didn't know what we were going to do, obviously, but you told me some details about the format, and I talked through it with Goose, and we figured out how we'd approach it.
So Goose helped you build the Goose Hints file.
Goose helped me build Goose Hints. It helped me put together a README, which I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
But after I got it to do the design with me, I asked it to read the README and the agents file and then start implementing.
Okay.
And so it's getting started.
Can you tell us? I don't think we talked about the agent markdown file on the Goose Off before. Can you tell us about that?
I don't think Goose actually preferentially reads the agent markdown file, but you'll see different versions of it in repositories in different places. Like they'll have one for Claude or Cursor. Agents is kind of just the generic version of it. And usually my Goose Hints is just read agents.md and read the README.
Okay.
So I'll keep it really generic in case anyone else wants to work with it with their agent.
Okay.
But this is what I prepared ahead of time. It's a little repository that I've got in GitHub already, which we wanted to take a look at the Goose Slackbot a little bit later, and the only way that it can kind of collaborate with my local Goose as this is going on is through this GitHub repo. So I put this together ahead of time. So it understands what Goose Off is, and it has a strategy that we put together for what we're going to do here.
Wait, what was the secret sauce? I just seen something. It said the secret sauce. Oh, the secret sauce is to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay.
Yes. From the guide. The agents Markdown file is a little more detailed. Actually, let me just check what Goose is doing first. Okay, so it's going. I'm going to use that in a second.
You're using
So
sub-agents. That's what it looked like.
I am using sub-agents.
Oh,
so
you're crazy. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
the first thing I asked it to do in the agents file is generate a prompt for me. And we're going to try and just get like a quick win prompt. And I'm going to try to get the Goose Slack bot to help me with this. So I've got vibe coding open here. And I'm just going to copy paste the prompt and ask the Goose Slack bot to open an issue with this prompt. And then Headless Flock of Yeast is going to go ahead and open a pull request for me, hopefully fully implementing our quick win prompt.
Oh, wow. You're going really advanced for us. This is awesome. So you're using Headless Goose, you're using sub-agents, and you're using Agent MD and Goose Hints. You're like using all the features.
So yeah, Goose is doing all of this without me having to like explicitly prompt it this time, because we worked out this agents file, which is normally just telling Goose how to work with the repo it's in, like what the testing methodology is, what the code style is, things like that. In our case here, it has a plan for how to implement whatever your prompt was going to be. So it was phase one was brainstorm. Phase two was put together a quick prompt to see if we could just throw an MVP out there. And then this was what Goose is doing right now on my computer. It's
creating a guide.
It's breaking down the task into manageable little chunks after putting together a guide and a style template. And then it's going to pass the guide, the style template, and a specific task to a bunch of sub-agents.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And the reason I'm doing this, so if we were using that really fast Qwen 3 coder, I wouldn't have to do this because it would just zoom through at 2,000 tokens a second and implement everything. But I'm leaning on Opus right now, and it doesn't go very quickly. So if you put it all in parallel, you can get a lot more done. So that's why we're leaning on the sub-agents here.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I'm gonna check in with Andrew because I see him playing games in the background. Let me see. I really like the strategy. I want to see what Andrew's playing in the background, and when we're back, those parallel sub-agents probably will be done with what they're doing. Be right back.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing. Hey, so we have a result here that's kind of silly. It looks like we actually have 2 games that have been merged into one experience, which makes for terrible gameplay. When I refresh, I can enter a letter, and it kind of works, but then it's like click or press the space bar to make the goose fly. So I click start game, and it just all of a sudden Flappy Goose shows up. And so I did learn though that I can hit the space bar. So maybe if this was multiplayer, you could have 2 people, one playing the Wordle part and one playing the thing. So I'm gonna redirect it here with a new prompt. That's basically telling it no, make it more like Wordle. I also added an image from Google about what Wordle looks like, so I don't have to describe as much of it. And so we'll see if this helps steer in the right direction.
Okay, that's the image I saw. I thought you were playing Wordle back there.
Maybe next time we'll see. So I asked it to I said you literally combine 2 different games. Let's try again and said focus on making this more like Wordle. Please discuss with yourself how to execute Wordle. Understand the gameplay. Use the image for reference.
Okay.
So it's basically kind of giving itself context right now. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but it says it's looking at the image, so it's understanding layout and colors. My general thinking here is that if this shot works well, we can then take a goose pass and inject fun animations and discuss the ways letters show up. So trying to take it one step at a time. I think we may have asked too much at the beginning.
That's okay. I mean, it looks cute, even though it was confusing, hard to play.
Yeah, terrible gameplay, but yeah, it's cute.
It's a good strategy. I'm going to see. Wait, Tyler, should I come to you? Give me a thumbs up or no? Oh, I can't hear you unless I go to you. Yeah.
Oh, here we can chat.
Okay.
It's still executing in the background, but I can show you what the Goosebot is thinking about.
Okay.
So it responded in the vibe coding channel, and it opened up a GitHub issue for us with a lot of detail about how to actually implement our game. So this is a GitHub issue it made for us. It put together the prompt. It gave some ideas about the design, how we want it implemented. And then what it did, you can see at the top here, is it tagged our headless flock of geese user in GitHub. And this is something we have internally at Block. And it's going ahead and it's working on it right now. So it's implementing the game for us in one of our CI pipelines as we go here.
Ooh, that's fine.
Which I don't know if I'm gonna open that because that's a Block only CI thing. So I'll keep that hidden for now. But we'll look at the PR it opens in a few minutes when it's done.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me go back to Andrew and see where we're at. Hey.
Hey, we have Wordle.
Perfect.
At least some form of it. So I'm trying to see if this works. I'm gonna put the word heart in here, and it's not a valid word.
Yes, it is.
Right. I did want to look at the code that it created. So it created HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. And it looks like they have a very simple word list here.
Okay.
So I think what we may do, look, it put goose first. We're just going to see if that's.
Oh, and its valid word list is below and it doesn't include heart, I think.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, so there you go, right? So I don't know what the current word that is, that it actually is active right now. By the way, I don't know if y'all knew this little fact, but when Wordle was first released, all of the words were inspectable in DevTools, so you could basically cheat. But since New York Times acquired them, they got rid of that and moved them like to the server side, so you can't cheat anymore.
That's funny. I did not know that. I didn't even like. Did you do that? Did you open the inspect tool and cheat?
No, I heard him talk about it like a podcast once. So.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what the word is, but yeah, I think what I may do now is to try to make it a little bit more goosey or like flappy. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Okay, and I see Tyler doing something with Docker over there. I'm gonna go see what he's doing. I think that was Docker. I couldn't tell. I've returned.
Yes. Hey, I was going to, so I finished the sub agent execution. Now it's going to go and review everything that was generated, try and integrate it together, run some tests, see if it works. But in the meantime, I was going to show you an actual Flappy Goose that I had made earlier as part of
Quinn3.
With Quinn3 as part of a project I was working on. I wanted to do a web UI for Goose, so I've got this together here, and of course, it wouldn't be fun without a little Easter egg game. So this was all put together this one's put together by the Quinn3 coder.
That's so cute. I love it. Quinn3 coder did all the. First off, give us the tips. How do you get Quinn3 coder to work on your computer? Because some people in Discord seem to be struggling. Some open source models are a little bit not as strong. So what do we got to do?
Well, I'm actually using it through OpenRouter. I'm not running it on the MacBook. The coder version is a little bit too big. They have smaller ones that you can run on your laptop, like the 30 billion version of Quinn3 coder, I think. And that's fun to play around with, and that'll be pretty fast. Like if you just want to toy around with it, use the 30 billion version because it's a lot faster. It's using a mixture of experts, so it's only using a tiny little bit of itself to generate your answer at a time, as opposed to the 32 billion version, which sounds like it would be almost as fast, but it's like 10 times slower. So something to keep in mind if you're playing around locally.
Good to know.
Otherwise, yeah, I would just use OpenRouter because it's a lot easier.
Okay, and it looks like your project is running on localhost 8000.
Yep. So something you need to tell your Goose when it's testing long-running servers or just other long-running processes that you don't want to lock up your Goose execution, you got to tell it to run it in screen in detach mode. Otherwise, it just hangs here forever.
Oh, okay. Usually I just say don't run npm run dev or like I just tell her don't run all those stuff. I didn't think about saying that. Let's see what we got.
Yeah,
All right,
let's
let's
see what we
pray.
got. I can't believe it actually loaded. So let's see.
You was lost immediately.
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be hard. Okay.
Oh, there's the
It
letters.
just shows me the word. Oh,
Oh
I missed
yeah.
it.
Well, at least you get like one little advantage. Cause I'll bring us all together. Let's bring us all together as you play. Your screen size should
Oh
be
gosh.
okay.
So I think technically it works, but some of the letters are out of reach. So we just have to tell Goose to modify this to put the letters between the pipes.
But we'll do that another day.
Yeah.
So we can go to the next challenge. But I think it went pretty well. Let's see Andrew's. Andrew, how are you feeling?
Good, it's working.
Okay. That was good, Tyler. I'm impressed at the strategy and everything. Let's see Tyler's. I mean Andrew's.
So I noticed in the source code that there's a convenient little cheat here. So I can just type this in to see what happens. So B E A, and look at those geese just
We
flying,
are flying.
dropping letters. And I hit enter, and then it won. And I noticed though that like some of the words were not 5 letters, so I just asked it to correct that. So it found some issues with the content. And then I thought about a design change to make the goose down here actually a button. So it looks like now I can actually use it to submit like the guess, or before I had to hit the enter key.
That's so cute. I love it. Y'all in the chat, let us know whose strategy you liked, whose UI was like making you laugh, which one was great and all that for you. I see a question from Tanish that was asking like, how did we get that vibe coding channel? That's an internal Slack channel that we have. We were just showing you how we tend to use Goose, but you can embed it for your own. And then he said also the GitHub thing he's trying is really tough right now. No agent is able to integrate 2 codes or even merge a PR without losing code. Was surprised to see how Tyler handled it. Okay, nice. I didn't know no agent. I thought Cursor allowed you to do like a little like cursor code GitHub action type of thing. All right, how are y'all feeling? That was a hard one, right? But do you feel like you can conquer the world?
Let's go.
Okay, don't be so quiet.
With enough free tokens, anything is possible.
I think these were both awesome. These were really good. All right. Let me see what the next one is. All right.
Can we just do one more thing real quick? Because I want to show you the PR that got opened in GitHub.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So it actually made our game for us, and it's waiting for us to get merged in. So we can go and take a look at the actual files that got put together for us by the Slack bot and by our Headless Goose CI process. So yeah, there's a whole nother game here waiting for us that happened asynchronously from what was going on my laptop.
Wow, wait. So this is a second game. It's not the same one.
No, totally different.
What? That's crazy. Okay, at the end, let's look at what it built for you, because I'm curious. All right. Okay, so this next one, I don't know. So you have used the Goose Slack bot for this, so this is good. I want to introduce MCP UI or tease it a little bit for folks. I hope that this makes sense. Andrew, if you tell me like this doesn't make sense to do, just let me know. But basically, I want us to build a trip recommendation tool where a user like basically picks like a mood or something like that or activity, and the app will basically suggest destinations and let them know the weather. You already have, I saw you had like a little weather MCP UI thing that like maybe we can leverage there, or a flight thing. I don't know. But basically it's a trip recommendation tool. We'll have Tyler use the Goose Slack bot for this, and then Andrew will use MCP UI, so you all can see the two different types of methods we can do. Does this make sense to both of you, or are there any red flags?
One potential issue I see is Tyler being able to demo his work. We've not released MCP UI integration yet into Goose, but it's like coming to a Goose near you soon, like hopefully this week. So if Tyler were to provide an endpoint to an HTTPS like server endpoint, I could load that up potentially on my side. But yeah, I think that sounds like a fun challenge. I'd be happy to
try it out.
try it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Tyler doesn't have to use the MCP UI, by the way.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just you. Like Tyler will be using Slackbot and then just to build the trip recommendation tool. And then you can use the MCP UI.
Cool.
Yes.
So overall, vibe-based trip recommendation tool.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Cool. And this, like Andrew said, MCP UI is not out yet, but I'm just so excited to see it work. And I mean, it's open source, so you guys can go to a different branch and see it there. All right, I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the clock for this as well. And I'll go to Tyler first, then I'll go to Andrew. Okay. Moving.
I'm just going to clog up our vibe coding channel. So actually the fun thing about the GooseBot is that it's a totally different experience using it because everyone can participate. Your entire team can come and look at it with you. If your team's having a chat about some issue that they're having, you can bring in GooseBot and it instantly has the context for everything you're doing. Using its MCPs, it can look at the Jira issues that you're exploring in the thread, all the code and GitHub you've got, and it can bring it all together and offer some really interesting bits of insight as you're going along as a team.
I agree. I like looking at when you like post about, like, you post a little at Goose and I'm like, let me see what it responded.
Yeah, so there's some things it's not super great at. Its sense of humor is still not quite there yet, but for a lot of things it is pretty helpful. So I'm going to ask it to help me brainstorm something here. So what it's probably going to do is, since I mentioned this repo, it'll probably go and fetch some of those files I had there, the README and the agent guide, and then it'll start thinking about the actual app itself. Yeah, so we can see it's using its MCPs, it's using a GitHub MCP right now, and go and look at that repository for us.
Okay, while it's loaded, let's see how Andrew starts off his MCP UI stuff. Be right back. Hello.
Hey, I'm just currently setting context. So I have a code base here that just to kind of like demo like what we're actually talking about here. I have an example. This is a little bit meta, I guess, but this website itself is demonstrating little MCP UI elements or widgets, if you will. And so if you want to see the weather, this particular element here is written with web technology. And then going back over to Goose, I'll just showcase it real quick.
Okay.
What's the weather in Knoxville? That's where I am right now.
Oh.
So I have an extension pre-configured that is hitting my MCP UI-based server here. And this is the little card that we see. So this is an MCP UI rendering inline in Goose. And we can also show other interfaces. So like, let's say like, I'm ready to book I'm ready to pick a seat for my flight from Charlotte to SF. And so I've got another tool in my server that right now is just a very kind of like smoke and mirrors, just a little toy that you can click stuff. It doesn't really function doesn't.
Oh, so you can't really book a flight.
Can't really do it, but
Okay.
the idea here is that like if you can tie it into some real backend services, you can actually start doing things. So this lets us like pick a seat. We can change our seat. We can clear it. But when we say confirm seat, the airplane kind of flies off, and it gives you a confirmation message. And the really cool thing too about this is because this is in context now, you can say, tell me about the current weather in both places. And we don't have to spell right? Because like LLMs are good at talking about.
It knows.
It knows. Yeah. So here's Charlotte and San Francisco. This is the current weather. So yeah, I'm going to be now shifting gears to do a new session, and I'm going to tell it to add a new tool to my server. And I want to tell it to use the airplane seat selection as your guide. But now I want to like start kind of adding your requirements. So like we want to build something that like help me plan a trip based on my mood. Is that right?
Yes.
I want the UI to have some big buttons, maybe emoji, describe how I feel. Upon selection, do some sort of animation and reveal the destination.
Ooh. So you're just even having Goose literally add a tool to your MCP server. You're not even
right. So I'm going to use this as a current code base and see how it does. Because I've written all of the UI demos for the most part by hand. I have like kind of vibe coded each little UI piece and just been like, make it do this. But this thing is like, I never used it to be like, use this tool as an example and see if it understands enough about the entire code. So we'll see if it works.
That's exciting. Let's go. I'm excited. And I don't know. I think the MCP UI is just so innovative. So I'm excited. All right. So there's a couple of comments. Tanya said maybe this could be used to book travel for a team's corp trip. Like, yeah, that could be amazing. I feel like booking like corporation trips is always hard. All these different like platforms that exist, they can be a little overwhelming. I don't know if anyone's ever used Concur before, but that's like my nightmare. And then Daryl said, did I miss the live or are y'all still goosing around? We're still goosing. We're still goosing around. And yes, Goose can self-improve. That's true. All right. So while it's doing that, let me see where Tyler's at, and then we'll come back to you, Andrew.
Okay.
Cool. Hello.
Hello. I'm still chatting with Goose Slackbot. So we put together an idea for the Vibe Trip app.
Nice.
But I don't have the cool MCP UI set up yet. So we're trying to figure out what the user interface is going to look like, because it would be nice if it was an AI powered application and not just like some hard coded values here. So what I asked it to do is look at another project that I've done in the past called Goose Apps, which allow you to create web apps that use the inference from your local Goose to power like AI features in them. So I asked Goose Slackbot, take a look at that repo for me and combine the Vibe Trip Planner app with Goose Apps and see what you can think of. And here in Slack, it put together a plan for me about what this would look like, how it would use Goose to power the actual web app itself. And it went ahead and told me a few things about how it would end up using the AI power, the inference to make the app interesting. How we'd run it, because Goose Apps, that little framework tells your Goose how to create the apps, share them, and run them. And I said, that sounds great. And go ahead and open an issue. So it did. And now we can take a look and see what the GitHub issue looks like. So it put together a spec for an application. And now our headless block of geese is going to go ahead and make this application for us. And it's going to use the Goose Apps framework to connect this web app to your local Goose. And you'll have a cool AI-powered Vibe trip planner.
Oh, shoot. This is cool. We need to have this like for open source as well, just so that they can easily, like, I don't know, run Goose in like a headless mode and integrate it with Slack and all that. What would be the limitations there?
No, I'm actually talking to our open source team right now about being able to release the Slack bot as well as the underlying Python library it uses, because it's a really nice, clean, generic Python client library for the backend Goose server that your Electron app is powered by. So that's what the Goose Slack bot is powered with, and that's what Goose Apps use to interface with your local Goose to power their inference. So I'm hoping those will be open source at some point. But yeah, it provided a ton of information to Headless Goose, and Headless Goose is going to go ahead and run with it. It's churning through this prompt right now in a CI pipeline, and it's going to post a PR here, probably about 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll be back for when it posts a PR. Let's see where Andrew's at with MCPUI.
Hey,
Hola.
I am solving one little build error,
Ooh.
and then we may be able to demo this thing. So really getting close. But Goose was productive, and it created a mood trip planner. I've not been able to actually inspect this yet and see how it's working, but we will be very soon.
Ooh.
So I built this little demo site. Let me pull it up over here. And what I'm working on now is asking it to add another tab up here so we can actually kind of see it in line.
Oh, okay.
But I have deployed this thing to Netlify. So right now I'm just checking the build to see if it's going up there. I don't have any dev tooling set up in my current repo to like quickly spin this up and add it as an extension to Goose running on local host.
Oh.
So typically when the build succeeds, it goes pretty quickly. So the other alternative we have is to look at it here. So it looks like Goose is cooking. I pointed it to like the different part of my directory. This is a Next.js site. So it should be aware of generally like the current code I have in place, understanding that like, hey, I want you to base it off the airplane seat picker, and we'll just see how it does.
This is exciting. When you were building, so I'm curious, like how did you build the whole integration between MCPUI and Goose, or did you do it with a group? And when you were building it, like what are some things that you learned while we wait for Goose?
Yeah, it looks like it deployed successfully, but
cool.
I did not author MCPUI as a package. That was by a couple of super smart folks, and they have been collaborating with us on issues we're running into, ideas. We're discussing the shape of it's super early days. So we're trying to make sure that our ideas for Goose are like, in line with their ideas for the project, but also they're working to make sure they're compliant with the model context protocol specification. So there's a lot of interesting kind of like overlaps, intersections. But yeah, I initially brought it up to some of the Goose folks maybe a month or two ago. And like since we've been having like lots of interesting conversations about security concerns, implementation strategies, and trying to just make this thing like a reality. So like there's a lot we could do with it. And what we decided to do first is to like break it down into something super small and minimal. Phase one, just get a little piece of UI to show up in Goose. But we have some plans for more phases to like have UI show up on the right-hand side, like in a sidecar. We want to implement kind of like more functionality between the UI itself and Goose's like host client context. So like the theory is you could see a button, you can click on it, and it could then call a tool from the client. And so you can have like a lot of interesting, like composed, or like the composition of like tool calls and the way you show things in UI versus through text selection or inputting text. Like there's a lot of opportunity.
That's exciting.
So it looks like it deployed. I forgot what this thing was named. So let's go see what it said it added. Mood trip planner. I also just want to look to see in the file here for mood trip what the actual tool description is. So it's a mood trip planner, suggest destinations. This feels right. So let's just say like I'm ready to plan a trip.
Do you mind zooming in just a smidge too?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
Look at that. Hey.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's here. Let's make it really big. Tell us how you're feeling. How are we feeling, chat?
Yeah, chat, tell us how we're feeling.
How we're feeling.
I would say for me, I'm feeling foodie. I'm always feeling foodie.
All right, so I'm clicking it and nothing's happening. So classic example of like, gotta fix the bug. But it does look like the most recent request I had, it looks like it made a demo page. So if we go check out our locally running app here and just try to navigate there. Let's see. Don't know if this is going to work,
Let's see.
but it does.
Boom.
Okay, cool. So there's not a nav item for it, but it kind of gives some descriptions on how it works. And yeah, it looks like the JavaScript that it wrote for this just is not working. I noticed that like I think like the proper way, the production way that we may be writing these like little UI widgets is that well, first of all, the tool returns an embedded resource, and that embedded resource has a MIME type of like text HTML. There's going to be some other ones rolling out, but the actual payload right now is just like a string of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, all like inline, so like super vanilla. I think there's going to be more advanced strategies like using remote DOM, maybe even like server components. I'm not really sure yet, like React Server components and other things are just like kind of further out there to make authoring easier. But like what I kind of had to do locally feels like a little bit hacky, but like it gets the job done. So if we pop over into like one of these utilities for, let's see, where am I at here? My seat selection. It's super ugly. People might cringe, but you know, I'm writing a lot to this code here, like with template literals and having to like append actions through like these iffy statements, you know, so to get stuff to work. And I'm basically constructing the entire HTML. So if you go down here at the very bottom, this function is responsible for returning an HTML string.
Whoa.
We take that function for like that particular part and it gets like jammed in, right? That's the URL version.
I see. Okay. Wow.
Here.
Okay.
So like that's the actual mechanism which this thing is showing up. So it's not like we came up with this on our own and like this is a Goose thing. The general idea is that if it's up to the client or the host application to handle this sort of embedded resource, but a server can theoretically just respond with this embedded resource. And if it's of a certain type, the URI is there, the MIME type is there, etc., then it will show itself properly.
That's crazy. I'm excited for whenever this goes live. That's gonna be the main thing I'm using. MCP.
We need people to build demos and find the rough edges and like figure out what's possible. Because like I think we have some assumptions right now that may not be correct. And so like the more the community can engage on this and like show us cool things they're doing with it, the better it's going to become.
Oh, you could trust my team will be. I'm gonna see where Tyler's at. Okay. And even though like we weren't able to click, that was kind of cool that we were still able to see the HTML and CSS that was rendered. All right, Tyler, what we're doing.
Oh, that was such a cool demo. I'm totally jealous. None of my like day-to-day work involves nice, pretty interfaces, and I feel like I'm on the back foot here. So I've got our CI Goose, our headless Goose running, and it's still putting together our fun Vibe app for us. But I've also got my local one doing it. And all I've asked it to do is use the Goose Apps framework to create a Vibe-based trip suggestions and planning app. And I'll show you a neat little trick here. Goose is pretty hard-headed sometimes. And if you ask it to start working in a repo or to use it to do something, a lot of the time it won't actually read the README or like the agents file or the Claude code file or whatever. It'll just start immediately jumping into the source. So in repositories where I really want Goose to pay attention to something in particular, I'll create a blank file with a name like this and do a prompt injection, because it always lists the contents of the repo first, and I'll have this here.
Interesting. So it has to have those extensions like .md, first read this before doing anything, .md, .message?
No, it's the first thing Goose does is just run an ls to look around a new project, and then it'll proceed to ignore the README. So all this is just a file name. And it tells Goose to go and read the README. There's nothing in here. There's nothing special about it.
Okay, I see. Interesting. I didn't know that.
So I'll put this in repos where it's really important that Goose reads the actual agent file first, like this one. Yeah, it's a little, prompt injection in every repo. So that's nice.
No, this is a good tip though. I didn't realize that.
But because I put that in there, it's fighting me. Because I put that in there, I don't know how to prevent that from happening. it looks around and it immediately reads the directions it's supposed to read. So that's a nice feature.
And Aaron said, could this be like added as a memory?
Yes, but that only helps if you've worked with a particular repo before. So the idea with the Goose Apps repo was folks would be able to open their local Goose and just say, hey, Goose, use this repo, and here's the GitHub URL, and create an AI app for me to my specifications, and that was it.
Gotcha.
So you would have never downloaded the repo before, wouldn't have any memories of it. This was meant to just be completely plug and play, and it's a way that you can help your downstream users use your app a little more seamlessly through Goose, because I didn't want folks to have to go into the repo and like run a bash script or like click an executable or something. I wanted them to just be able to say, Goose, run this thing. And that was a neat, hacky little way of making sure Goose ran it in the right way.
Yeah, I like that you made the Goose Apps thing. I think it was great for like non-developers as well. It looks like it's running, or no, it's running
it's trying.
API health.
Yeah, part of the development process that's outlined for it in the Goose Apps thing is to do a bunch of testing. And so right now it's in the testing phase. It's going to find issues. It's going to fix them. And then hopefully at the end, it will find everything working and it'll print out a nice big summary for us with a link we can click and just go check out our trip planner.
Nice. Y'all got like a real setup here.
Oh, here it goes. So it thinks it's done.
Let's go.
I have no idea what it's going to look like, but it built it, it tested it, it's put together some docs for us. Yeah, give me a link to click on.
Oh, that's cool that you can run it by saying, please run by your username in the trip planner. That's interesting that it said that.
Okay, so it's starting the app for us again. Checking that it's working. I was using Sonnet here because I was hoping it would be a lot faster, but not really.
No, I mean, I think it's still pretty fast.
Here we go. Let's check this out.
So you typically don't use Sonnet. You use Opus?
For brand new things where it needs to think pretty deeply about it, I'll use Opus. I've been trying out the lead and the worker model that's built into Goose, and that seems to be working pretty well.
Oh, I'm a Sonnet girly. Okay, let's put our vibe in. People have said stuff in the chat. They were feeling adventurous. They were feeling like I have kids type of vibe. Yeah, an adventurous introvert. I like that.
Okay, let's do ultra luxury.
Yeah.
2 weeks. What are our interests?
I don't know. I'm hungry right now, so my interest is food.
Food. Sightseeing. We'll say maybe vineyards. Something for the kids. What do kids like?
What do kids like?
Trying to think what my 2.5-year-old likes to do. He likes to go to grocery stores and go shopping.
Oh, that's cute.
Let's say a theme park. And we'll say it's a family. Let's see if this works. So in theory, it should be connecting to our local Goose automatically, planning with Goose, running all of its inference through our local Goose, which is being pushed back up to our Claude model. And hopefully it will just show up here on the page.
Oh my God.
It thinks it's connected to our local Goose, but with these one-shot kind of things, you never know.
Yeah, but this is so cool. The UI is good. Oh no. Okay.
Oh.
While you do that, Andrew said he got his working. So we'll go check out Andrew, come back to you, and then we'll wrap up the stream. Let's see.
All right, Rizla. Hey. You said you're feeling like a foodie, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we can plan my trip.
Oh my God. What are we gonna eat? France.
It's France.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, tell us what Adventurous gives us.
Okay, let's see. So, adventurous, seeking thrills and excitement. Drum roll, please.
I need some like actual music.
New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. This is so cute. I need this. Like, and earlier Max was saying like this would be a really like an actual product. Like, come on, VCs, come invest in me. I got lots of ideas, and then we got engineers here on the Great Goose. Oh, Santorini. Yes.
And I just also asked it to add to our nav bar up here. I'm not sure if it's cooked on that yet. Looks like it's still chewing on it, but it also works over here. And one thing that you'll notice, there's lots of these little pop-ups over here. MCP UI basically dispatches these events. They use the post message API to cross the iframe boundary from like the actual UI itself to like the parent host. And so when we click plan my trip, I believe, yeah, it dispatches like the payload. So what this enabled us to do when we make some updates to Goose is like we can take that data that this UI sends us and do stuff with it. So it could be like Goose calls some other tool, or the UI responds in some interesting way depending on what the user clicked on. So tons and tons of opportunity.
That's cool. That's a good question. I mean, a good answer, because I actually did when I went on your site. I was like, what are all these pop-ups? But I just thought like, I don't know, you just wanted toast notifications on your. I don't know.
Yeah, have a bit of a purpose, and I believe that the authors of MCP UI is working on improving this thing with the Model Context Protocol Inspector, which I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that. But if I have a thing hooked up here locally, so that if I run, well, if it works, PnPm inspect, this will open up the MCP inspector tool. And because MCP UI is so new, like you will be able to see my tools in here. Like the one that we just created here is plan trip by mood. And we can run the tool and see what the data is that it returns. But I think like the next evolution of this is to say, okay, like actually give us the UI in place and like let us like see the events that are being passed back and forth.
Oh my God, exciting. Oh, this is awesome. All right, y'all, tell me how you feel about Andrew's implementation of MCP UI and the mood trip planner. And we're gonna go back over to Tyler. Let's see if Goose got connected yet.
Oh man, MCP UI is so cool.
I know.
All I did while y'all were over there was tell Goose the errors I found in the console.
Okay.
And it's going and debugging. It's using the API itself to try and figure out exactly what the issue is with the app. And it's trying to get through it right now, actually.
Awesome. While you're doing this, I'll bring us all back together. Oop, and I'll share a screen as we see it happen. Cool. Anything while we're waiting for this, any tips for the audience for like vibe coding, or not even just vibe coding, but leveraging Goose? What are the top types of things that you tend to do and that you encourage other people to do as well?
Sure. The first thing I do besides, brainstorm with it on a new project is ask it to figure out basically every kind of deterministic testing it can do for the project. So style, linting, the type of unit test, type of integration test, end-to-end test, security scanning, and go ahead and write that down and to do its development in a loop. So have it do a feature and then run tests, run the linting, et cetera, and that really helps keep everything super consistent, and it keeps it from getting too far off the rails. And having it do ad hoc integration testing as it's going, like actually hit the remote API with the tools it's coding as it's in the middle of things is kind of key to making sure it doesn't go off on a tangent and do something completely unrelated to what you wanted.
Yeah, because it does tend to do that sometimes. What about you, Andrew? Any tips you want to leave the viewers with? I know you guys gave lots of tips throughout the whole thing, but yeah.
I think Tyler actually hit on it earlier. I'm not sure if folks recall, but he asked like Goose to game plan basically and talk to itself. I did have a little side project I did a few months ago. I'm actually on my screen right now. I'm not sure if it's easy to share, but it's this thing that I was thinking through, like, how do we get how do we deliver taste and creative context into like vibe coding? So this wasn't an original idea I had. I talked with one of our creative directors who went to a conference who like learned about like this approach. But I like this is a project that's like pretty Gooseception-y, because like I used Goose to create a tool that I then used Goose to create a website that like documented what I did. So I initially asked Goose that I needed help crafting some prompts. And so like this is basically what I'm trying to make a point about. My tip is like you can ask your models to like plan in interesting ways. So the way I asked it though is that I wanted to tap into a collective knowledge of art historians, have them discuss amongst themselves and figure out prompts. Like, so I was prompting for prompt generation. And the goal is to have 10 prompts, one for each decade. And so the response was like, I'll help you. And so it made up these people and their perspectives, and then it created the prompts for each decade. And then at the end, they like had consensus. You know, everyone's so agreeable. There was no one that was like, that's a bad idea. And then I said like, okay, let's go. Let's make some images of architects' desks for each decade and style. So then it did it. And like all these images, I think what's interesting is like they feel like they're part of a family. But I didn't really have to like think through cultural stuff or like to have to describe like, this reminds me of The Great Gatsby, like gold.
It does.
But like it just kind of like those prompts that it came up with, then I was able to use. I made actually a recipe for this, so I could then load a Goose recipe that says like I want an image in the 1940s style or like the 1980s. And so I guess that's my recommendation or my tip is like spending a bit more time like thinking about things up front can be helpful. It can also backfire. Like the little bit of like totally conflicting advice too is like sometimes it's better to not try to be a human and just like let the model
do its thing.
Do its thing.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. I'm learning so much from you guys, and now I'm kind of inspired. I'm like, this is a cool project to do. Like, wow. And yeah, I think my teammate Ian, he calls this vibe prompting, where he basically, like what you guys said, asks the LLM like, what prompt should I make? So this is great. This is great. And it's so crazy how the images it created are really on point. They don't look too off.
Yeah, what's fun about this one is I have to resize it, but you'll see 1990s CDs.
Oh. Wow. Where's the cassette tapes?
Right. But it's also fun how it took like Tron and like this kind of like, I'm not sure what you call this style. But this is pretty it's a little trite, but it's fun.
You and Tyler are both so innovative. Like this is really, really cool.
Well, thanks for having us today. I really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, Tyler, where you at? Thanks for being on here.
It's still working on it.
It's still working on it? Okay. Since we reached the hour mark, are you okay if we'll wait for a little bit more. Or what do you want to do?
Well, I just wanted to add in real quick here that one of the nice things you can do with Goose is if there's a project you particularly like, you think is well put together, you should have it look at that project and go through it and figure out what's so nice about it and how to apply that to what you're working on at the moment with Goose.
Can I plug one more thing?
Sorry.
Get MCP is like a really cool tool by the same authors of MCP UI that essentially allows you to like create an HTTP like streaming Goose extension like that points at like a repo and it treats it like docs. And so I will sometimes like set up an extension just for a certain repository and like let it just like know, right? Because like the models are trained off of data sets and not all the data sets include all of our code. And so it's just like having the ability to like directly tap into it, like it's such a great tool.
Love that you brought that up because we actually just added a tutorial for how to leverage Get MCP like we probably did this on Friday or something like that last week. So if people want to get that same experience that Andrew just described, we do have, I'll put the link in the chat too. This was awesome. This was great. Sometimes what people usually do, like when their goose finally finishes, is they'll like post the result in Slack, and I'll post it in Discord if you want, because I know Goose is thinking and making a masterpiece. So are you good with that, Tyler?
Sure, yeah. And for folks, at Block, they can go chat with the Slack bot and ask you questions about some of the work we just did today and the PRs it put in. So it's great at answering questions, especially about things in GitHub.
Yeah. And I want to point out too what Max said. This was definitely more of an educational like session than a Goose Off, which I appreciated. I think you guys are such like Goose pros that you're like, I'm coming in here to teach. And I loved it. It was like relaxing, but also really, really informative. I learned a lot from this. I hope to have you guys back in the future. And thank you so much to the audience as well for like staying engaged, listening, watching, and all that. And thanks for your time, y'all. See you next 2 weeks. Bye.